Hello everyone, I'm Larry Huffman, and welcome to another edition of On Two Wheels. The 1970s marked the beginning of the greatest years Supercross has ever known. By 1979, Supercross had come of age in Los Angeles as a crowd of over 79,000 people came to witness a Superbowl of Motocross that will go down in history as the largest crowd to ever witness a Supercross race. Why all the excitement? Well, maybe it was Mike Bell or Mark Barnett or Ken Howerton or Jimmy the Jammer Weinert or Jimmy Ellis or even little Jeff Ward making his Supercross transition in this show. But I'm going to put my money on Bob Hurricane Hanna as the man the screaming fans came to see. So now let's take a step back in time as Ted Otto joins me in another classic Supercross on two wheels.
The Los Angeles Coliseum hosted the Olympics in 1932. Film footage has preserved the electricity of those moments as some of the finest athletes from around the world held court to determine number one. What a proud heritage for this renowned sports arena. Hi, I'm Larry Huffman here to cover the Coca-Cola Superbowl of Motocross, the second round in the Toyota Triple Crown of Supercross. In just a few hours, the top factory teams and top privateers from around the world will be coming here and coming out on this man-made human demolition course on their $30,000 works machines to battle in front of a crowd estimated at up to 80,000 people tonight. To call the action with me, a former Grand National AMA hill climb champion and scrambles champion, Mr. Ted Otto. Ted, we go back 10, 15 years when you were racing scrambles, and it's certainly come a long way, the sport of motocross, since then.
Larry, when we started this in the United States, we did call it scrambles, and the people that came to watch us race were the people we brought with us.
And Stadium Motocross has also created a new American sports hero. I spoke to some of tonight's top competitors. Here you see Bob Hanna, the charging young champion on the circuit, checking with his mechanic.
I think we better. Yeah. That straightaway so fast, unbelievable. I can't stand it.
What are you going to have to do to win it tonight?
Get a good start, I think, is the most important thing, and because this track is real fast, and a lot of the places it's real one-line type, and you need to get a good start to get out in front of Hanna and the rest of those guys.
Who do you have to beat tonight?
Everybody, but I think it's going to be Tripes and Hanna and Howerton and Wise and Reed. They're all fast tonight.
How important is a start in a stadium event?
It's very tight out there, so it's hard to pass. So if you do get a bad start, it's very hard to catch up. So the start's very important.
Well, it's going to be a good night tonight. I've been training hard. Suzuki's got a good bike. I'm just up for it tonight. I'm going to win it.
You're basically a 125 class rider, are you not?
Yeah, I basically am, but I've been riding a lot of 250. I'm starting to like it a lot better.
You like this course tonight?
Oh, I love it.
How long have you been racing in the large class bikes?
Well, this is about my 5th stadium this year. I've been racing 125s for about 2 years now.
You started in the mini-cycle ranks, did you not?
Yeah, I've been riding for 12 years. About 9 or 10 of it's been about mini-cycles, and that's where I got a lot of experience, and I'm used to this big stuff, but I like it.
At age 22, the man everybody has to beat, the king of Supercross, Bob Hurricane Hanna.
Oh, I don't know. I think I'm getting too old already. I'm already starting to think about some of these big jumps where I used to never think about them. I'm thinking about them now, so I don't know if that's good or bad.
Does this crowd of 80,000 people really turn you on when you're racing?
Yeah, it does something for you. It gives you a little bit of electricity. You know, you hear all these people screaming, and you don't know what goes through it, it's just electricity.
Well, Ted, I wouldn't count any of them out. They've all earned their way here, and on any given night, anyone could win it all. Gentlemen, start your engines. Okay, now a recap of qualifying heat action and some surprising results that will shape the field for the final. First heat, odds-on favorite Hanna of Team Yamaha, and an impatient newcomer, Team Suzuki's Mark Barnett. They're off as action at the Superbowl of Motocross brings all the fans in the Coliseum to their feet.
Larry, it was a great start. They're all bunched in together as they go into that left-hander turn one.
Mark Barnett stormed out of the gate and surprisingly smoked Hanna.
I think he surprised himself. He said he wanted to win it all here tonight, but I didn't think that he thought he was going to pull away from Hanna right in the first heat.
Mark Barnett from the Midwest being groomed by Suzuki team manager Mark Blackwell to do well in the outdoor events, and here he's doing well at the Coliseum. There is the Tornado Tunnel that proved to be the downfall of a number of riders later in the evening. But right now it's Mark Barnett out in front.
Here you can see the beginning of the difficulties for Bob Hanna for the evening. He came around that turn, his bike apparently popped out of gear. He stopped, tried to put it back in gear, maybe missed it, pulled over again, punched it into low gear, and took off again. You watch his riding style, and that does not look like Bob Hurricane Hanna. He definitely is having a very bad night. He goes out of control as he goes over the jumps, leaves the seat, is up in the air, and he just is not riding like he usually does.
But a rider who is riding at the top of form is young Mark Barnett of Team Suzuki as he takes the checkered flag and upset in the first moto. He looked behind him and no Hannah. We go to the second heat. Ken Howerton, Team Suzuki, and Jimmy the Jammer Weiner, the old man of motocross, start out neck and neck over the straightaway where speeds of 75 miles an hour reach.
A lot of fans in the stands are rooting for the old man Weinert. They're trying to cheer him on to victory, see if he can do it again.
They go over the whoop-de-doo still tight, but now it's all Howerton riding confidently as he moves out in front. Ken Howerton, the Rhinestone Cowboy from San Antonio, Texas, a former Grand National champion leading this second heat at the Superbowl of Motocross. Goes over the jump, pops a wheelie, he's happy, he's having a good time. Ken Howerton takes the second heat for Suzuki. Third heat, and what a surprise this was. Young Jeff Ward of Kawasaki, nicknamed the Flying Flea, 5 foot 5 inches, 115 pounds soaking wet, completely dominating the field.
Ward took it right from the starting gate. He never looked back, and no one got close enough to him to challenge him at all in the entire heat.
Native Southern Californian Jeff Ward, Mission Viejo, California, out in front and doing extremely well for Kawasaki. Fourth and final qualifying heat. Gaston Galen Mosier, Kawasaki, against his old nemesis, Big Mike Bell of Yamaha, last year's winner here.
Just the opposite of young Ward. This is the tallest man on the race course. Too Tall Bill, some of them call him. He usually does not get the start out of the gate and has to work his way up from back in the pack. He's a delightful young man and a real challenger in motocross racing.
Gaston Galen Mosier and Mike Bell, both born and bred on the night motocross courses of Southern California. Here is Bell trying to put a wheel he's got in front of Gaston Galen Mosier. Mosier wobbles a little bit there, and Big Mike Bell goes out in front as they approach that treacherous tornado tunnel that's proven to be the downfall of a number of riders.
And you just saw Mosier almost lose it there. Without question, this is the part of the course that's giving the riders the most trouble tonight and may play an important factor in the finals.
Big Mike Bell takes the checkered flag, goes over the jump, waving to the crowd, winning the fourth and final qualifying heat. We'll be cooking at the Superbowl of Motocross when we return. Ladies and gentlemen, we've all been waiting for this moment. The granddaddy of them all is about to begin. Larry Huffman along with Ted Otto to call the action for you. Ted, I know you're primed for this one.
Larry, you couldn't ask or demand a better field of champions for this big final. They're all here. Danny Laporte, who's always in the finals. Howerton, so impressive earlier. DeStefano, a tough competitor. Mosier and Bell, a race within the race. Then comes Weinert, the old man, a winner and always right up there. Young Barnett, watch out for him. And Hannah, having a rough night but ready. All champs, all ready to go for it. They're going for glory, gold, and the distinction of being the winner of the Super Bowl of Motocross.
75,000 fans up on their feet. And they're underway. The Super Bowl of Motocross, the final is underway, and look who's out in front, Ted. It is young Jeff Ward on the Kawasaki.
He does it again just like he did it in his heat race. It was a great start, Larry. They all came off together. They bunched up a little bit in turn one. They separated a little bit. Now they're back together in the hoop-de-doos.
18-year-old Jeff Ward of Mission Viejo, California, out in front in the 20-lap main event here at the Los Angeles Coliseum.
The question that has to be going through his mind is, how fast should I go? What should I do to keep from making a mistake? It's bad to be the rabbit.
Out in front and outside the peristyle and then back down to the famous ski run jump here at the Coliseum. A 50 to 60-foot jump through the air to the bottom, the floor of the Coliseum.
Larry, there's a big change in the lighting, too. You come out of the peristyle end and you jump completely into darkness and you cannot see what's down beneath you.
Jeff Ward in front, being chased by a whole horde of riders, the top riders in the world in Supercross racing. They go over the hoop-de-doos and back to the back part of the course.
The fans are going wild. It's what they came here for, and they're getting a tremendous show.
Jeff Ward over that fifth gear, wide open jump on the back part of the course and back down to the hoop-de-doos.
Here they are in that rough part of the course again, down there where they're bouncing and through your famous tornado tunnel, the one that's giving them all so much trouble.
It is Ward in front, Mark Barnett running in second, and it looks like Gaston Galen Mosier running in third.
The field begins to spread out now. They're getting some room to operate. Now they can begin to work their way up and begin to work on the guy in front and look for some passing.
Field stretching out quite a bit, Ted Otto, now as the leader, Ward, moves way out in front.
Hannah is down. Hannah is involved in a crash. We've got 4 factory riders involved. Scott Gilman, number 205. 2 Honda riders are involved in there. Ellis and Reed, and into the back of them runs Hannah.
Throw some cold water on those bikes. They can't get them apart, Ted.
Hannah's trying to get his bike out of that mess, and he does. He jumps out. He jumps on side saddle, coasts down the hill, and gets his bike started back into the race.
I can't believe that. Hannah going over a jump, sitting side saddle on the bike and still staying upright. Meanwhile, back in the front part of the course, it is still Jeff Ward. An incredible job of riding for the 18-year-old teenager from Orange County, leading the best motocross riders in the world at the Superbowl of Motocross.
He has to be worrying about what's going on behind him. When you're the guy out in front and there's no one in front of you, you don't know how fast to go, you don't know what to keep doing, and if you're not careful and you lose your concentration, somebody sneaks up from behind.
And sneaking up behind him right now is Mark Barnett out of the Midwest, moving right up behind him, and here is Mosier in third spot, trying to get close enough to Barnett to strike.
You've got 3 riders in the lead now, stretching away from everybody else.
Jeff Ward in front, Barnett on the yellow and black factory Suzuki in second spot. They're taking the signal from his pit crew, and running in third, a very dangerous Gasson Galen Mosier.
Ward is just running away with this event right now. Can he keep up the pace?
It's got to be a good question if he is ready. He's only 18 years old. He's hard as a rock. He's raced a lot of night motocross races in Southern California, so he knows how to ride at night, which is a very important point for the Americans.
Up and out of the peristyle again to make the turn in that giant leap back to the Coliseum floor.
50 to 60 feet through the night, the cold night air to the bottom of the Coliseum floor. Ward still in front, Barnett still running in second and hovering in third. Now watch Mosier, Galen Mosier running in third. Meanwhile, back in the pack, we've got Kent Howerton, the former Grand National champion, sitting in fourth spot. And there's Hannah. There's your rider, Hannah, Ted Otto.
Talk about having a bad night. Hannah has never been back so far. I can't remember him being back so far.
Hannah has never before been lapped in an AMA race, but right now it looks like he's got his problems. Meanwhile, out in front, Barnett has got his problems because Mosier is now putting the pressure on Barnett. They come around the Tornado Tunnel, and Mosier goes by on the inside. It is now Kawasaki 1 and 2, Ward in front, Mosier second, and Barnett bewildered, sitting in third spot, saying, "What am I doing here?"
Everything seems to be happening inside that tunnel. Every time they go in, they come out the other side. There's been a change.
Got to call it the black hole of the Coliseum, the Tornado Tunnel. Meanwhile, in front, it is Ward, Mosier, his teammate, running in second, and third spot, Mark Barnett. But you can't say there's going to be any teammate action in a race like this, Ted Otto.
Bell is back in sixth place. Howerton is running in fourth. No, those teammates are not going to give an inch. There's too much money, too much prize at stake. They're going for it no matter who they're riding beside.
The most popular part of the course has got to be that peristyle jump as Ward leaps off into the cold night air and down to the bottom of the Coliseum. At the bottom of that jump, there's a huge chasm, and I noticed during practice that a lot of the riders had considerable difficulty in that same area. It's a very dangerous spot, firing out of that peristyle and onto the Coliseum floor.
Larry, it's also very hard on equipment. They come flying through the air. They bottom out as they hit. The shock absorbers go clear to the bottom, spring back, and immediately they go into a washboard. It's a terrible toll on equipment.
Gasson Galen Mosier, a top young street fighter from Orange County, putting the pass, trying to go around. He's got Ward. He goes to the inside. Ward to the outside. Mosier has taken the lead.
And where else but back in the Tornado Tunnel?
Gasson Galen Mosier, the Anaheim Super Bowl winner last year. He's out in front, leading his teammate, Jeff Ward.
There you go, Team Green out there in the lead. There they go, back around the treacherous turns.
Mosier is a very tough rider. He's about 5'8", sinewy, 145, 150 pounds. He's tough, he's determined, he will get physical if he has to, but right now he is pulling away from Jeff Ward.
It's a 20-lap event. Don't count Barnett out. He's still right there, and he's still got a good shot at him.
Gasson Galen Mosier in front, young Jeff Ward in second, and a hard-charging Mark Barnett in third. We'll be back with more action from the Super Bowl of Motocross in just a moment. Welcome back to our coverage of the Coca-Cola Super Bowl of Motocross. Here's a look at the construction of this difficult track. Supercross racing was born back in 1972 right here at the Los Angeles Coliseum. A lot of people said it would never get off the ground, but it went on to become the biggest success story of the 1970s.
Yes, Larry, and as a past rider, I can really appreciate what these two young men we're watching now have done for the sport. Jimmy Weinert blazing a path in the early days of stadium motocross with his tenacious style and skill. Bob Hanna, the sport's newest idol, fearless on the straightaways and unmatched in his assault on the course and competitors. But practice is the key. Even these two need it, as at speed, these two motocross racers are awesome to watch.
And now back to live action. In the 17th lap, with just a little over 3 laps to go, Mosier's still in front. He's held the lead since the 5th lap.
It's Barnett now in second. Bell has moved his way up to third. He was back sixth for a long, long time. He took his time moving up. It took him 2 laps to pass each one of those people to get into third position. Bell is always a starter back in the pack and works his way up to the front.
Much to the displeasure of 75,000 fans, Bob Hanna is completely out of the race. He's been lapped. It's the first time in his career he has ever been lapped at an AMA National. But out in front and showing beautiful form down that long peristyle jump is the incredible Gasson Galen Mosier.
Young Jeff Ward has dropped back to 4th position now after having led the race for so many laps.
3 laps to go. It is still Mosier in front. Right behind him is Mark Barnett on the factory Suzuki, and Big Mike Bell, always a factor, always a danger, is running in 3rd spot.
We've been talking about the Tornado Tunnel. There's another interesting factor at this end of the racetrack. After they go through the tunnel, they circle up over the top and come downhill, and there's a 15-foot cliff, a ledge, a drop-off to the bottom of the floor. That's where the finish line is. It's also where all the mechanics are located with the pit boards. The riders are trying to read their pit boards while they're flying through the air.
Native Southern Californian Galen Mosier. They call him the gasser because that's what he likes to do. He likes to get out in front and gas it. Rooster, the other riders, is out in front. But right now in 2nd spot is Mark Barnett, and a lot of people are surprised at this point. Barnett was not expected to do this well in front of the biggest crowd ever to see a motorcycle race in the United States. He is holding on 2nd and doing very, very well.
The roles are reversed now. It's Galen Mosier that must keep his concentration. What's going on in his mind is what's behind him. How close are they? It's easier if you're in 2nd or 3rd spot. You can pace yourself off the rider in front of you. Now you have to rely on pit boards and intuition.
Mosier's mechanic is a stone-deaf mechanic named Rocky Williams, who signals him with the pit signs. Mosier in front. Running in 2nd is Mark Barnett of the Suzuki. In 3rd is Yamaha's Mike Bell.
Larry, they're holding up the sign. There's only 2 laps to go, and it's still anybody's race.
That's right, Ted. We're about 2.5 minutes away from the finish of this biggest ever Super Bowl of Motocross, and Mosier is holding on in front, but Barnett is starting to put the pressure on him. Barnett is moving up behind Mosier.
And there they are, back in that Tornado Tower. Where else would it go? Look at
Look out! Look out! Barnett has taken the lead!
It's unbelievable. This crowd is going absolutely crazy. It's Barnett in the lead.
Mark Barnett has taken over the lead from Galen Mosier. The Suzuki crew is going absolutely insane. Barnett is riding the race of his life. Mosier in 2nd. He's frustrated. Bell is trying to catch Mosier, but Barnett is running away with the race.
Everybody's going completely crazy. Mosier must have lost his concentration, and Barnett took it and went for the lead. Can he hold him off to the end?
Mark Barnett, the surprise of the night. Bell going into 2nd. Mosier is stunned. Bell has gone into 2nd. Barnett is in front. It is Barnett, Bell, and Mosier. We're down to the last few seconds of this race.
Mosier couldn't believe that Barnett had gotten by while he was trying to recover from that Bell slip by. Here we go for the most exciting finish ever.
Can Bell repeat his win as the Super Bowl of Motocross champion? Barnett is going to try to deny it. Barnett in front, Bell in 2nd, Mosier 3rd, and Mark Barnett is riding the race of his life. He is completely out of control.
There's a guy that has to have all kinds of butterflies in his stomach, wondering what's going to happen. He's got less than a lap to go. Can he hold him off?
The white flag out. Barnett coming up on traffic. Ted Otto, this could be a factor. Barnett trying to go through traffic.
The last time through that Tornado Tunnel. What'll happen in here in this lap?
Mark Barnett on the factory yellow and black Suzuki. Oh, he bobbles. He almost goes down. He recovers. It is still Barnett in front. Barnett in front. Bell 2nd. Mosier 3rd. Still Mark Barnett from the Midwest, showing the form, the grace, and ability to withstand pressure in front. But look at Bell. Look at Bell. Get up behind him. They go up. It is still Barnett and Bell. That have proven to be the problems with the other riders. They're coming up now to the peristyle. Barnett in front, Bell scratching, trying to get close enough, trying to get by him. They go outside the peristyle. They come back down, flying through the air. It is still Barnett in front. Bell is in 2nd. Barnett is in front. Bell is going to have about 15 seconds to try to catch the teenager from the Midwest. It is Barnett, Bell, Mosier in 3rd. Barnett riding the race of his life. The Suzuki pit crew's in crazy, and it's Barnett! Barnett has won! Barnett has won the Super Bowl! We'll be back in just a moment. Young Mark Barnett had all the ingredients tonight. Skill, determination, a well-tuned machine for a well-deserved victory.
It looked like Mosier was keeping the same distance from you most of the evening until he bobbled.
Yeah, he was keeping up there, and I had to charge a lot harder towards the end in order to pass him, because endurance was the key factor there. Training hard and paid off.
And Bell was right behind you, and he was giving you a hard time, too.
Well, every time when right over there in whoop-de-doos, he was there every time. I had to sort of close the door on him, but that's all part of racing.
We mentioned camaraderie earlier. Here, Bell and Mosier shake hands. A narrow defeat. It'll be a few moments before it all sinks in. But as champions, they'll all be back.
Mark the Bomber Barnett, a true Supercross superstar, and what a show from the '79 Super Bowl. For the second half of our program, we're going to jump ahead 3 years for the running of the 1982 Super Bowl of Motocross from Los Angeles. Announcers Ken Squire and Dave Despain call the action as it was originally recorded over a decade ago. Although not exactly in yearly sequence following the usual format of our show, we thought you'd like to compare the two Super Bowls of motocross races in order to see just how quickly this sport of Supercross has experienced change. Watch for Brock Glover and Mike Bell, who surprised the Supercross crowd with their high-flying Supercross antics.
It is the final time that this motorsports crowd will gather at the Los Angeles Coliseum. And they gathered earlier today in numbers that anticipate a new Super Bowl of Motocross attendance record. Already, North America's best motocross riders have given this massive congregation the action, the thrills, the competition for which this event is justly famous. 80 challengers have been reduced to 21 finalists, preparing now for the 11th and last Super Bowl of Motocross in the Los Angeles Coliseum. 50 years ago, this Coliseum was christened by the 10th Olympiad. Now Los Angeles prepares for another Olympics. And this sport, motocross, and its Super Bowl, which was nurtured and brought to life here in the Coliseum, moves to new environs, they say, to New Jersey and the Meadowlands in 1983. I'm Ken Squire, here to bring you all the starting gate action, all the oh my heart Titanic thrills of that gigantic leap that is so familiar to Coliseum crowds as we ring down a chapter in motocross history. Working with me is Dave Despain, as he has in the past. And David, this gets down to another one of those battles between defending champion and the best new kid out of the gates.
Well, Ken, it really does. Two men share the center stage here tonight. The new kid is Donnie Hansen, 22 years old, had never won a Supercross race at the outset of the 1982 season. But tonight, he can lock up the lucrative National Series Championship and with it a $120,000 bonus. Mark Barnett is the defending series champion. He locked up that title right here a year ago in the Super Bowl.
With 10 of 12 meetings complete, Dave, here are the Supercross standings. If 22-year-old Donnie Hansen stays a position up on defending champion Mark Barnett, he'll be the champion. Barnett must finish in front of Hansen. Some of the great names from the past in this event. Jimmy Ellis, the man from East Hampton, Connecticut, looks good for the program tonight, as well as Mike Bell, too tall, 6'3", back off some injuries. And there's the golden boy, Brock Glover, 23, out of California, three-time national champion.
Let's take a look at this longest, the most spectacular, and the fastest of all the stadium motocross courses now, built at huge expense here on the floor of the Los Angeles Coliseum. The key area, the start.
It's a pretty fast start, so getting out of the gate good is very important. I'm going to be concentrating on the mechanism that controls the gate falling down, and as soon as I see that thing flinch, I'm releasing the clutch and going.
After that cavalry charge down the front straightaway, a series of tight switchbacks, the first turn absolutely critical, and then the climb up 3 stories into the peristyle of the Coliseum.
Well, it's really tough, Dave, when you come out up the hill and then you just basically leap up into some darkness up in here, and then when we land to, between 2 cement pillars, which is amazing in itself. We turn around, and when we come back out, it's just a jump that you do see some people in the stadium and you see a little bit of light, but mostly you're jumping into darkness.
That 100-foot leap, the breathtaking drop back to the floor of the stadium, leads to 2 of the key areas. They're called whoop-de-doos. This is a great place to pass, but if you don't do it right, it's also a great place to crash. There's an example right there. Here at the Coliseum, the finish line is found on the backstretch at the crest of a 10-foot leap off into space. A great course, Ken.
The peristyle of the Los Angeles Coliseum, where they will leap these 250cc bikes weighing some 215 pounds, about 50 horsepower, down some 100 feet tonight, the last time out. Jimmy Ellis, twice a winner out of New England, says it still sends shivers through his body to think about winning this event, up against 20 others who all have one thing in mind right now: winning the final Super Bowl in the LA Coliseum.
They've got the crowd on their feet, Ken, as we get ready for a start here in the Coliseum.
Nearly 70,000 awaiting the start. 21 riders in the gate. The whole shot is critical. They're away. On the break, Hansen is lost in traffic, and breaking out in front is Mark Barnett.
Great start for Barnett. Hansen buried back in the ruck, and that is absolutely critical to the outcome of this championship. Barnett has Brock Glover on his heels as they head for the peristyle the first time out. Hansen way back in 10th spot.
Moving to third spot, surprisingly on the start, Jimmy Ellis, the winner in 75 and 76, as they come to the peristyle. Here's Ellis down the inside going to second place. Jimmy Ellis taking second. He's 26 and some say he's too old.
Well, he's not had a couple of good years here. In fact, his last major conquest was in the Super Bowl. He's just not been riding up to snuff, but he's fired up tonight. He really wants to go after Mark Barnett. He wants to win another Super Bowl.
Here they come for those critical hoop-de-doos now. Mark Barnett pulling away a bit. Challenged by Brock Glover on Ellis. Here they come for the leap. Some 70 feet of clearance through the air as they all are in good shape halfway through the first lap.
Barnett out front and charging. He knows what he's got to do here tonight. The mathematics for Mark Barnett are the essence of simplicity. He's got to go out and win this thing. He has to finish ahead of Hansen to keep alive his title hopes, but that's a slim hope at best. He's got to win this race to be in good shape.
Out of the sand pile, down the straightaway up to 75 miles per hour. Now on the clutch, shifting, coming down. Mark Barnett is in trouble. The leader has crashed. Ellis goes down. New leader.
That's going to move Glover out into the lead. Barnett just ran it up into the hay bales. He caught Ellis, and Ellis went down too. That gives us a new leader in Brock Glover.
Mike Bell is taking over. Too Tall Bell in second place. Two former Super Bowl winners running 1 and 2. Here they come for the peristyle leap.
So suddenly it's the two former Super Bowl winners, Brock Glover and Mike Too Tall Bell, out front and having at one another. Those two, of course, are teammates. That really pile up a big heartbreak for Team Suzuki and Team Honda, as one each of their stars have gone by the wayside. Now Bell making a move on the inside, and he's caught Brock Glover to take over the lead.
Mike Too Tall Bell, who's been injured all season long, has only ridden in 2 of the 10 previous events. Has it all gathered up. Glover comes at him through those hoop-de-doos. Headed now for the sand pit, critical part of the course. 69,010 people are watching Mike Bell and Brock Glover for Team Yamaha lead a host of Hondas here as we're underway in the Super Bowl of Motocross for 1982. With Dave Despain, I'm Ken Squire.
Key element here, of course, the two series leaders, Donnie Hansen, who got a bad start. He's way back in 8th spot. Mark Barnett, whom we saw crash on the second lap back in 17. And their drama is going to be very much the story of this race as Mike Bell continues to lead Brock Glover up front.
Leading the airborne charge, Mike Too Tall Bell, 6'3", 180 pounds. They say he could ride a bike before he could walk. His dad has brought him along, Bill Bell, over the years. He's been a great champion. He has sustained some injuries, but he's riding flawlessly right now.
Riding marvelously under the circumstances. He has had surgery on both his knees. The knees are so critical in this form of competition because of the body English that you have to use and to absorb the punishment of those hard landings.
180-pounder out here. Most of these riders 130, 140 pounds. He uses that weight, distributes it on the bike to get more torque on that rear wheel. It makes a big difference.
Here's Donnie Hansen. He is in 8th spot. He's known as the best starter in Supercross racing. Tonight, when he really needed to uncork one to lock up the championship, Hansen found himself buried back in the ruck. So now he's scrambling, but the key here is that he is in front of Mark Barnett. The pressure is on Hansen to stay in front of Barnett. Here is Mark. He has moved up to 14th spot, and I'll tell you, Ken, he's charging through traffic out there.
He must finish in front of Hansen if he wants to run this championship down to San Diego for the last race of the year.
Let's go back now and see how Mark Barnett lost the lead. Working lap 2, leading the race. Up high on the turn, the bike wheelies and he loses the front end, loses control, bounces off the straw bales. Here comes Jimmy Ellis, number 60, and rams the front wheel of Barnett's fallen motorcycle. Ellis gets pitched right on his head. And on the outside, Brock Glover and Mike Bell squirt by to take the lead, but they didn't stay in that order very long. Bell said before the race, you've got to be aggressive, and he went for it in one of those 2 whoop-de-doo sections where we mentioned earlier it was a good place to pass. He ducks down on the inside, carefully controlling the throttle so as not to wheelie, not to lose control, and Mike Bell squirts into the lead.
Mike Bell, who has not won since 1980 in San Diego, only ridden twice previously this season. Out at the Pontiac Silverdome when he finished 3rd and 8th. Now has himself a lead of about 12 bike lengths over his teammate, Brock Glover, in 2nd place, Gibson maintaining 3rd.
Don't count Glover out of this thing. He has really matured as a Supercross racer. He knows how to make the moves that it takes to reel in the leader and to make the pass if he can get there. There's Glover in that same area where Barnett was brought low earlier. The interval only about 15-20 yards, and that is certainly something that a rider of Glover's caliber could make up as he chases the leader up into the peristyle.
Mike Bell, who loves to snow ski. He uses some of that style right here as if he's coming off a big mogul in California mountains like Mammoth, where he does a lot of winter skiing, holding this bike before a record crowd of 69,010 for the Super Bowl of Motocross. His last outing here in the LA Coliseum, and what a surprise as Mike Too Tall Bell, who many said just wasn't back up to snuff, rides through those hoop-de-doos, comes for that line again, and ready to unleash another 70-foot leap down here into this 8th turn area. Mike Bell is number 1 in the Super Bowl of Motocross currently. Brock Glover sustaining 2nd place. Jim Gibson, the strongest rider they say on the course, is in 3rd here in the Super Bowl of Motocross. Mike Bell, who won this event in 1978, and said afterward he couldn't believe he'd won the Super Bowl until he awoke the next morning and found the cup at the foot of his bed.
Meanwhile, there's a great race going on for 5th and 6th positions. Johnny O'Mara on the red Honda being pursued by Jeff Ward on the green Kawasaki. The race for 5th and 6th up the front straightaway and preparing for that climb up into the peristyle. Ward closing it up a little bit. These 2 kids, both Southern Californians, and they've come through what is now a traditional progression in motocross. They both started competition in the mini-cycle ranks in their pre-teen years, moved up onto the factory teams as teenagers, getting paid big salaries to ride professionally while they were still in high school. O'Mara down that long leap with Ward in hot pursuit. These 2 kids are both fired up and looking for the opportunity to score their first win in the Super Bowl of Motocross. Now here they come into that critical section where Glover lost the lead to Mike Bell. O'Mara through first. Here is Ward closing right up on the rear wheel for just a moment, then over the finish line jump. Still, O'Mara leading Jeff Ward in the race for 5th and 6th.
Meanwhile, David, Michael Too Tall Bell continues to dominate the event. Earlier, he compared those longer outdoor moto courses with these stadium events.
It's a lot more physical. The courses are quite a bit narrower here, and you know, the jumps and everything, it's just a lot tighter, and everybody has the same idea. They know, hey, I've got 20 minutes to get the job done. If you're outside, you know, you got 45 minutes. So there's just no time for playing around. No nice guys.
Well, there is one of the nice guys, Mike Bell, no matter what he says. Too Tall, very much liked in the business, an all-A student when he was in high school.
One of the most personable guys out there, and I know a lot of these competitors share the enthusiasm that we feel to see Bell back on top. Meanwhile, Mark Barnett is on the charge. He's moved up to 10th place on bike number 1. There, he's working on his teammate Warren Reed, side by side over the jump. Goat Brecker on the green number 15 involved in that battle. This is Barnett trying to claw his way back to Donnie Hansen. Remember, he has to beat Hansen tonight to keep alive his series title hopes.
Riverside, California's Goat Brecker goes high, and Mark Barnett, number 1, moves into 8th. He is just 1 position behind Hansen. Hansen is in 7th place right now, and Mark Barnett wants to close on him, go by him to keep his hopes of the Supercross title again for 1982 in his domain.
Barnett setting his sights on Donnie Hansen, the 7th place rider, trying to reel him in. There is Hansen, currently enjoying a comfortable lead over Barnett. Remember, that race for 7th and 8th is critical to the final series championship standings.
And remember, if Hansen finishes in front of Mark Barnett, he'll pick up a $100,000 bonus for winning the series. There's your leader, Mike Too Tall Bell. He takes this seriously. His training program, incredible. He bicycles 25 to 30 miles 3 times a week. Then he motos 3 times a week. He has an incredible calisthenic and weight building program, not so much for bulk, but for endurance. And you can see why they need it as he takes these jumps and stays in great form. The former ultimate crasher becomes the ultimate racer here in the Super Bowl of Motocross. It is Mike Bell running in first place. Can he win it for a second time? Brock Glover is in second, Gibson third. The story, though, is Hansen and Barnett.
The key to the National Supercross Championship is Mark Barnett back in 8th place, racing Goat Brecker, who has slipped back a little in 9th. There is your 7th place man, Donnie Hansen, exiting that whoop-de-doo section. Mark Barnett rounding the turn and just entering that section. The interval now being measured in yards as Hansen tries to keep Barnett behind him and thus clinch this lucrative national crown.
Donnie Hansen started out as a flat track racer. He first came to light in 1979 on the Motocross Series, and he has just progressively moved up, and now he is challenging for the top. Big money here for him if he can just stay up and stay in front of Mark Barnett, who is directly behind him.
Hansen's trying to buy himself some insurance here. He's working on Jeff Ward and his teammate Jim Gibson, who had run as high as 3rd in this event. But now Gibson slips behind Jeff Ward. Here comes Hansen up alongside. Hansen trying to move into 6th place and does. Donnie Hansen gives himself a little pad against Mark Barnett as he takes over 6th spot.
One would wonder how many more times we'll see Mike Bell in motocross competition. He has eyes for going into auto racing. He's already making some plans for some off-road racing, and he'd really like to get into the 4-wheelers, he says. But right now, he's focusing, concentrating on bringing this bike around to win his 2nd Super Bowl of Motocross.
Back in 1980, when Bell won this series championship, he peeled off 6 victories in a single season in this kind of competition, but he's not won since October of 1980. And this win, if he can hold on and pull it out, Ken, is going to be particularly sweet. A great comeback for Too Tall Bell.
His Yamaha teammate Brock Glover in second. White flag is about to be extended. Final lap.
And the white flag also out for Brock Glover at 23 years old. $1 million contract for this young man in Supercross racing. That's a measure of how far this sport has come.
5th and 6th place riders headed for their white flag. Jeff Ward, and in that 6th position, red and white of Donnie Hansen. Dave Despain making his way down to the victory podium as Mike Bell stays in front. He appears on his way to becoming the last man to win the Super Bowl of Motocross in the LA Coliseum. Next year to the Meadowlands in New Jersey for the Super Bowl. The creation of Mike Goodwin 11 years back. In those first years, Marty Tripes, an unknown 16-year-old, won it before they had this run up through the peristyle. Then came Falta of Czechoslovakia, Jimmy Ellis, Jam and Jimmy Weiner. And Bell, of course, won it here in 78. Here's Hansen, still trying to close on Ward to take out one more man before it's over to give himself a little insurance. Mike Bell in the final twist, the final turns of this serpentine 10-turn course that has created some of the most exciting action in motocross history. The Olympics coming here in 1984. And a standing ovation from 69,000 as Mike Bell wins the 1982 Super Bowl of Motocross. Brock Glover is crossing in 2nd place. For 3rd, it will be young David Bailey, but the whole story is Mike Bell. A comeback after injuries to both of his legs, operations on them. He's put it all back together, trained for this one night, and he has pulled it off. Mike Bell of Lakewood, California, wins the Super Bowl of Motocross. Hansen wins the Supercross Series, the $100,000 bonus, but it lacks the joy, the zest that now rests on the shoulders of Mike Bell, who will be remembered as the last Coliseum champion in motocross. Making his way to the podium and standing by to talk with him, as some of the fans are getting just a little tuckered out, is Dave Despain. Series champion Donnie Hansen, but he wanted so much more. Here's David.
Tonight you really had to overcome a problem, though, with the knee injury that you've got. Did it give you any difficulty this evening?
Yeah, a couple times in some of the deep ruts, you know, I was aware of it. I didn't really have any problem, no twists or anything. They're getting better and better, but I guess I'll always be aware of the problem.
A whole lot of action very quickly early in the race. The crash for Barnett, you're moving up to the lead, and your pass of Brock Glover. Tell me about that sequence.
Well, when Mark fell and the Honda rider went down with him, I'm not sure who it was, I tried to move down to the low inside line, and it set me up in good position on Brock, and I just made a move on him and made it stick.
Congratulations to you.
All right, thanks a lot, Dave.
Super Bowl champion for the second time, Mike Bell. Back to you, Ken.
The rider they used to criticize is just too big for the tight confines of stadium motocross takes on legendary proportion in the world of motorcycles. Michael Too Tall Bell comes back from 2 years of injuries and heartbreak to win the last LA Coliseum Super Bowl of Motocross. For Dave Despain, I'm Ken Squire.
Even though announcer Ken Squire called it the last Super Bowl of Motocross at the Los Angeles Coliseum in 1982, I'm happy to report that the Super Bowl does continue through the 1980s. Join us here next time to see more historic Supercross racing from Los Angeles to Atlanta. I'm Larry Huffman, and I'll see you next time on Two Wheels.